Hi there, I'm Josh Garrison, CEO of Alpine Dispensary. Behind me is the Khumbu Icefall and Mount Everest. This journey began for me, as with many of you, 3 years ago when I opened Alpine Dispensary. Alpine Dispensary was born out of my own struggles with PTSD and the thought that maybe I could help some of my brothers and sisters find the resources like cannabis which had helped me recover. What it has grown into is something so much more. It is now a platform where we can raise awareness for so many issues, including the 22 veteran suicides a day that plagues our country. Through nothing other than fate, our team leaves out tomorrow morning around 2 a.m. on 4/20/22 with our first rotation through the high camps leading to the summit of Mount Everest. I want to thank you, my customers, my family of employees, friends, brothers and sisters in arms, and our community for helping us grow this into something truly bigger than all of us. Namaste.
Climbing Mount Everest was never really a goal that was on my bucket list, but when the opportunity presented itself, I had to try it. Believe it or not, Mount Everest was the first big mountain I signed up for. Fortunately, I got hooked up with Garrett Madison, one of the top climbers in the world. Now let's rewind a few years. With dozens of deployments with the military and CIA, along with 13 years of combat, my body was destroyed. I was almost 260 pounds and my blood pressure was 230/160. My joint pain was an 8 on a daily basis. My cortisone levels were through the roof, and I was completely falling apart mentally and physically while battling my PTSD. I tried every pill the VA had, but had given up on all of them and really struggled with the lasting side effects. Thankfully, my friend sold me my first CBD product in early 2019. Instantly, I knew this was the answer I had been looking for. I didn't realize it would take me to the top of the world. I got on Garrett's team for Mount Everest in August of 2021, and training began. A few days later, I lost yet another brother to suicide. I went for a training run to blow off some steam. I then realized I had the opportunity to do more with this climb than just making it to the top. I came up with the Everest 2022 a day concept, not to start a foundation or raise any money, but simply to raise awareness as to just how big this 22 veteran suicides a day problem really is. I put together a series of videos on the steps I had used to overcome my PTSD and turn my body around in less than 3 years. I made these videos specifically for warfighters like myself, returning home and being told they're supposed to integrate back into a society that is all screwed up. This downgrading of structure and values has proven too much to handle for many of those who struggled to the point of giving up. My videos and concept were to maintain the high level of structure and value that we had learned overseas and let the rest of the world upgrade to us. The final step in my videos was to keep a mission in front of you. My mission had been set for the next 10 months, and that was to climb Mount Everest. Training continued, and the pieces started falling into place, from the Elemental Altitude Advanced Training Center to some warm-up climbs in Mexico and Argentina.
Coming down off the summit at about 8 a.m. You can see it's just absolutely perfect conditions. We'll be going up that bowl in just a few minutes. Still about 16,500 feet. Winds sustained up here along these ridges at probably 40 miles an hour, gusting to 50. It's blowing, but man, what an experience.
After the first 2 climbs in Mexico, I headed down to Argentina and to Aconcagua at 22,837 feet, the highest point outside of Asia. This was the first climb I got to do with Garrett Madison. We were tent mates the entire time we were on the mountain. This gave me an opportunity to truly learn about Everest from one of its top climbers. Garrett was also the originator of the Everest and Lhotse combination. After a lot of discussion and a successful summit of Aconcagua without the use of a porter, Garrett and I both agreed I should go for it. On March 30th, 2022, I turned 47 and went wheels up for Kathmandu, Nepal.
Place is sheer chaos. Some of the local temples. I am definitely out of the tourist area.
Several of my fellow climbers were on my flight out of Atlanta, and many more of us linked up in Doha on our layover. By the time we got to Kathmandu, we had many of the team members assembled. After a few days of gear checks and some tours of the city, we caught a weather window to fly into Lukla, the most dangerous airport in the world.
This is it. We're loaded up, headed to Lukla. There's the cliff at the end of the runway. Holy shit. Rad. Coming to the cliff, and he's coming in on a tailwind too. I was hoping we get a plane coming in, but I don't see anybody moving through. Literally crash into the end of a mountain. Mountain, runway. And it's hard to show the grade, but that thing is steep.
So we strapped our gear to the backs of our yaks and naks and began our 8-day trek to base camp.
Here it is, starting the 8-day trek to base camp. Should be a nice, easy walk.
This amazing journey leads you up the sacred Khumbu Valley. This well-established route leads you through dozens of small villages with shops and tea houses that we would stay in each night.
These old monasteries are amazing. Still using the exact same architecture to build all their houses and everything today. This is kind of cool. Got to finish up the first day's trek. Peace.
In the initial valley floor, you can't see much, but each day as we moved up, the magnitude of the Himalayas started to show.
Absolutely gorgeous up here. Welcome to the Himalayas. Maybe day 4 on the trek to base camp. Working downhill, which seems asinine. At some point, we'll start back up.
Who planned this route?
Garrett! Whenever you think you got a tough job, trade with this guy. This is a steep grade. I don't know what that weighs, but that's legit right there.
We had 12 climbers and 15 trekkers make this journey. We toured many of the monasteries and stopped to pay homage to the victims of the earthquake in 2015.
I understood that base camp was next to the Khumbu icefall, but what they really mean is it's in it. That's people down there.
We all arrived at base camp April 12th, said goodbye to the trekkers that had joined us, and the climb began.
Woo. Sometimes you fall through the glacier.
After settling into our camp, we began training on the ice of the Khumbu Glacier. And I did several training climbs to surrounding peaks. This was the first time our team got to work together, learning how to move up and down the mountain.
Climbed up Hamori from base camp. Base camp's down here below us. You can see Everest is the highest peak up at the top there. Come down from that, so we got the Lhotse face going up, and then Lhotse along with Lhotse over here beside it. Khumbu icefall coming down with the base camp right below it.
On April 17th, we had our puja ceremony, a blessing to move up the mountain.
Welcome to the Khumbu icefall. Today is just practice. Tonight we'll be moving up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. All we got to do is get to the other side of all of that.
Understanding the rotations is critical to understanding how to climb Everest.
So here's what mountaineering really looks like. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. We're getting set for our first rotation up through the high camps. Everybody's loaded down. And we got to make it through the Khumbu icefall before it starts thawing out.
Our first rotation, we moved through the Khumbu icefall and up to Camp 1, where we spent a couple of days recovering.
Welcome to the Khumbu icefall. Holy shit. So, right here, let's see, there's my foot. Yeah. And you just got these 20, 30, 40 meter deep crevasses, cliffs, giant ice boulders, and you're hanging on to a cinder with a safety and a single line going up the mountain. There goes some of my boys. I don't know where we're at. We're probably up around 19,000 feet. Still climbing. We'll go until we start about 2 a.m. Hey, there's the moon. And we'll go until 9 or 10 o'clock this morning. You can see just the frozen ice sheets. This place is wicked. I'm standing under this chunk of icefall. And right here below me is a crevasse. I don't even know where the fucking bottom of it is. This is some of the sketchiest crap I've ever done on a rope. So we got the icefall doctors here, literally dragging ladders up the line through these crevasses, as you can see. Absolutely incredible. Some of my teammates got behind me. Wish I could just grab hold. Not sure what this guy's up to. Coming down from Camp 2. It looks like he's going to stop at Camp 1. So, that's where we're at. You guys know. This is what a big boy looks like when they open up. This is the one we just crossed on the ladder. So we're up between Camp 1 and Camp 2 out in the middle of the glacier. Yeah, it's about 75 damn degrees out here, roasting. We talk a lot about ladder crossings and those things and crossing glaciers. This is what's known as an ice bridge. So we're gonna walk across that little thing. If it decides to fall, it's a long damn ways down. Let's see. Sketchy, sketchy, sketchy.
We then continued our climb to Camp 2, where we spent the next 2 days at over 21,000 feet. Then we dropped back down to base camp where we recovered for the week.
All right, here's the gear breakdown of what I'm leaving behind. Zoom out where we can see. Lots of hand warmers, only 2 packs of toe warmers. I do have my medium weight baklava, Hester gloves, elemental altitude, food bowl, goggles, spare glasses, an inflatable pillow that I can't seem to get open, some candies, lanyard for ice axe. I probably will leave that neck gaiter behind, 1 pair of underwear, some jerky, medium weight top, and headlamp and book will all stay here. And we'll have to take that back. The other question mark on my work gloves. Haven't decided on those yet. Just a couple extra things. Leaving a headlamp, extra bag of jerky, food bowl, and tripod for the GoPro. Coming down from Camp 2 back to Camp 1, probably just crossed under 20,000 feet. We're a pretty small speck. Mount Everest is that way. Pretty cool crevasse coming up. I'll let you look down through there. It's a nice angle. We're right at the top edge of it. So that's what we cross over. Sometimes you jump them, Sometimes there's an ice bridge. Sometimes there's ladders. Sometimes the damn things just happen. Those are the ones you really don't like.
Mostly eating and playing cards between limited spurts of internet connectivity. Rotation 2 starts with one of the toughest climbs of the whole journey. We began at midnight. This time we went directly from base camp to Camp 2. This was over an 11-hour night and day of climbing for me. We stayed and recovered at Camp 2 for a couple of days, then left out at midnight for Camp 3 at 23,600 feet without oxygen. This was a tough climb getting through the vertical sections at the end of the glacier, but this time instead of staying, we only kissed it and went back down to Camp 2.
Second rotation, and down from Camp 2. Woo! It's a party up in here. We're getting ready to do our drop back. I could possibly be eating a cheeseburger tomorrow. So this appears to be where the collapse happened. What we call SPCC 4. It's sketchy. And yeah, this is how we're getting down this time.
After a couple of days, we descended back to base camp, and our drop back began.
All right, you want to see what it looks like after you descend 4,000 feet back to base camp. Check out my sock liner. I don't know if you can see it. The other one was straight up smoking. There we go.
We helicoptered down to Namche Bazaar, where we recovered for a week.
What Everest climbers do on their time off.
Recovering at this elevation made a huge difference and allowed our bodies to truly digest food again. I probably consumed over 10,000 calories a day for the 5 days I was there.
Longest Mani stone wall in the Khumbu. Headed to this stupa, I guess.
I like you fuckers.
We helicoptered back up to base camp. Now it was time to go. Unfortunately, the weather gods weren't on our side, so we ended up hanging out at base camp for a couple more days, hoping to predict when the winds would die down. We started our summit push and moved from base camp to Camp 2. The winds were still too high for us to start our summit push, so we hung out at Camp 2 for a couple more days. On On May 17th, we started to the high camps.
Leaving out from Camp 2. This is our summit push. That's the team right here in front of me. We're going up there. Camp 2 to Camp 3 today. On oxygen. Woo.
We spent one day at Camp 3 with howling winds.
Welcome to Camp 3 at about 23,000 feet. Tonight's entertainment, noise, brought to you by wind. We pushed our summit day back a day because we knew there was some wind coming, and yeah, pretty sure it's here. It'll be a bumpy night.
Then continued on to Camp 4 the next night.
Getting ready to cross through what they call the yellow zone, the yellow band, right at the beginning of the death zone, up around 25,000 feet. We are freaking up there. Now we got to climb that. Good times. Oxygen helps a lot. Whew, check out the view.
We spent a full day at Camp 4 waiting on the winds to subside.
I just wanted to record this moment because I think this is the greatest I have ever felt in my life, to just lay down at 26,000 feet and relax. The wind is no shit blowing. It's got to be 40, 50 miles an hour. And let's see, it is 1:30 in the afternoon. We started climbing about 5:30. I can't do any math right now. 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30. Good 8 hours of climbing today. Pretty rugged. We got the day off tomorrow. I'll take y'all outside a little bit and show you what these winds do. It looks like Armageddon. Right, say hi. What up? Woo! Welcome to Camp 4, the South Call.
The morning of May 20th, we decided to go for the summit. I spent most of my day climbing alone with just my Sherpa, City. I tripped and had a pretty good fall, which tore my altitude suit. I then fell on the Hillary step and dislocated my shoulder. We finally reached the summit around 9 a.m. in miserable conditions. We had climbed into the jet stream and the winds were whipping the snow off the top of the mountain. Every electrical device we had was failing. My GoPro screen was just static and my hands were too cold for my iPhone to recognize. After about 20 minutes trying to get pictures and videos, City made the call for us to get off the summit. We worked our way down to the first semi-protected spot for a short break. Unfortunately, I went for one last selfie, but while adjusting my goggles, the lens got loose. I had to choose between my GoPro or my sight. I watched the GoPro tumble down the mountain back towards Camp 2. When I made it to Camp 4, I honestly didn't know if I'd gotten a single picture from the summit. Fortunately, I had one selfie on my phone, while City managed to get 2 pictures on his. This was probably the lowest I'd ever felt after a climb. Mount Everest is angry, and she really doesn't want you up there. My tent mate Dwight made it back a couple of hours later. We managed to eat a little bit of food, and I had about 5 hours of rest before my next challenge. At midnight, myself, Garrett, Cameron, and Chase set out for Mount Lhotse. We descended about 1,000 feet down the Everest line to where the Lhotse line began. At this point in time, we were carrying everything from Camp 4 with us. We cached the majority of our gear and started up Lhotse. Lhotse isn't a very technical climb. It's mostly an extremely steep funnel. This climb was different though. We had good weather and our spirits were high. I led the climb for the first few hours and we continued to work our way up, reaching the summit around 7:55 a.m. Other than running out of oxygen and having to do a bottle swap, everything on Lhotse went perfect. We got amazing pictures and videos, and we got to take our masks off and truly enjoy the moment.
Welcome to the top of Lhotse, 4th highest peak in the world. My second 8,000 meter peak in 24 hours. Summited Everest at 8:55 yesterday morning. This morning, we're at the top of Lhotse at 7:40. Thanks, Coram,
for making a watch that actually works. Everest right there behind us. Whew. A little better weather this morning. Thanks, Garrett. Great job.
You got it, my man. All right, safe descent.
Thanks, City. Woo!
Yeah, City. All right, look at that panorama.
Woo. Thanks to Alpine Dispensary. This thing was flown on top of Everest yesterday. Sorry we didn't get any pictures or video. Maybe I'll find the camera in another life. But we're on top of Lhotse today, 4th highest mountain in the world. Don't forget about the 22 soldiers a day. That's what this is all about. Again, Alpine Dispensary, thanks for getting me up here. And who knows, we may do it again somewhere. Thanks.
Nice work, Josh, and Alpine Dispensary.
Thanks, Garrett.
Wahoo!
Thanks, City. Yeah.
Getting down the mountain was one of the most challenging things I've ever done.
I just kind of wanted to show you what it takes just to walk downhill. I'm not on fixed lines. I'm just trying to finish the journey. Coming down from the summit of Lhotse this morning. I think we summited somewhere around 7:30. I've descended over, I don't even know, 8 or 10,000 feet. It is absolutely just a barren glacial wilderness with nobody here but me. What a trip. Two months, not quite, today's the 20th, 30, 20, 52 days since I left the house. To be one of the first 50 people in the world to summit both Everest and Lhotse in less than 24 hours. It's emotional. I'll be back to Camp 2 here in the next 30, 45 minutes. And then it's down to base camp tomorrow. As soon as the next day, could be on a helicopter down to Kathmandu and flying home within a few days of that. But can't say thank you enough to our guides, Garrett, Madison, best in the world, Teray Sylvester, Rob Smith, phenomenal job. Our Sherpas, I wish I could name them all. They are superhuman, absolutely superhuman. I don't know how their bodies work, but it's not like ours. I don't know when I'll be back, but here's to Nepal. Here's to the Himalayas. Here's to Mount Everest and Lhotse. I'm ready to get this pack off my back. I've had it on since probably about 12:30 this morning, and it's 2:30 in the afternoon. Thank you for all your support. 22 veterans a day is bullshit. Let's fix it.
My shoulder was dislocated. Meanwhile, I had to body rappel over 7,000 vertical feet. When I got back to Camp 2 around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I had nothing left to give. However, the next morning we were up and at it again to make our way to base camp for the last time.
Just walking out. Thought you might want to see what some of the crevasses look like. No, we're not hooked up. Just walking. Some amazing Amazing country. We're departing the Khumbu icefall, one of the more difficult sections. Imagine rappelling down a vertical sheet underneath an ice rack that's ready to fall on you. Oh yeah, and then you've got to try to hit that ladder. Make it the rest of the way down. This was one of the areas that collapsed earlier. Nothing easy about it.
After a well-deserved celebration, we found out that we might be getting out the next morning. So 48 hours after summiting Everest and Lhotse, I was back in Kathmandu.
I put this video together for everyone to enjoy, but I also want it to be a resource for my brothers and sisters in arms to use as a reminder of just what we are actually capable of. There are tons of groups and organizations out there hoping to help veterans, and I'm sure in many ways they do. But for myself and many of the guys I worked with, it didn't fit. The biggest takeaway from this whole process, and for myself, was the understanding that I don't want to fit. I don't want to integrate into a society filled with chaos and disorder, and I don't want to downgrade. The first step you have to take before my videos will ever have any meaning is to decide that you're ready. Then it's up to you. Don't rely on my videos or anyone else's. Figure out what works for you and keep moving forward with whatever your mission is on the horizon. Namaste.